Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, so we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because I feel, as our guest I believe also does, that no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who I always say to a lot of our guests, they mean a lot, but she really does. She's been someone I cherish and know for over a year, I believe. It's incredible how time flies, but I wanted to welcome you, Mary Jane, to the show, and so honored, but also even more excited, really, to get the word of all the inspiring things you all do at GAPS. And it's really just my dream, to be honest, and I've told you before, is we could just reach one person in Texas, anywhere in the state that isn't aware of the beautiful and inspiring things from the voice to the singing that we just talked. I think we changed the world for the better. So thank you for your time and welcome to the show.
All right. Well, thank you, George, very, very much. And yes, kind of a mutual admiration here because I've seen all of the other podcasts that you've done and the interviews as well as your book. And what an honor you have been for your mom. That's pretty cool. I think that's really neat.
I
But
appreciate it. Yeah, she lives her memory at least on through our talk today and everyone out there. We send our love. And as you know, the holidays are coming, so it's kind of tough for a lot of people out there struggling
mm,
with Parkinson's and those who lost a loved one. But I try to bring the light from the darkness, and having people like you in my life really makes me keep going. So again, welcome to the show. It's going to be fun.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
So maybe we could start by just, I guess, telling the audience a little bit about your background, how you got involved with the beautiful organization, and also what brought you to the world of Parkinson's awareness.
Excellent. Well, my background is a registered nurse, and actually, I've got my 50-year reunion coming up. So I've been a nurse for quite a while. Interesting, though, I had never worked in the field of neurology or with Parkinson's. And I've been married 45 years, but I started to notice some things going on with my own husband. But even as a nurse, I didn't pick up on all of the specifics because they were individually brought out. First the lack of smell, and then he was getting slower and slower, and there was a change in his speech, and then there was back problems, and so we were going from doctor to doctor to doctor, never putting it all together until I saw the tremor. And when we saw the tremor, I realized, okay, this is Parkinson's. I know this is. And of course, that was our start in 2007 with his diagnosis. But of course, like so many people know, we can trace back Parkinson's a good 10 years for my husband. And so he was 60 when he was diagnosed. I truly know he has symptoms at 50. In any case, that immediately just catapulted me into the Parkinson world. And with my background and my personality was to get as much education as I could. And then I got involved with a little local support group. And I must admit, the support group that was going on at the time had 10 people in it. And it was kind of depressing. I mean, everybody would just sit around and talk about their Parkinson's. And I was like, oh, my husband didn't want to go. And I didn't even force him because I thought, that's okay. But then I got to know the person that was leading it. She was a wonderful old lady, and but she was getting ready to move and needed somebody to take it over. She kept asking me to take it over and asking me, and I kept saying no, 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 no. Finally, though, it was in 2011. She was said, Mary Jane, the group is going to stop if you don't take it over. So I came home and told my husband, who had been insisting, no, I do not want you to be a part of this because people will know I have Parkinson's if you are still in this group. I said, baby, they know you have Parkinson's anyway. I mean, it's one of those things. The symptoms were very obvious. But as it turned out, um, I asked him and he said no. And then I just put it out of my mind. I was busy working on a computer. It was until later that evening. All of a sudden he shouted out, I think you ought to do it. And I said, do what? What are you talking about? I mean, it was off of my radar. He said, I think you ought to be a Parkinson support group leader. And I said, wow, what changed that mind? I mean, you're so insistent. He says, well, it may help me. I said, well, you're absolutely right. It would help you to come to a support group. He said, but you've got to come to it. That's the key thing. He said, I'll only come to it if you make it fun. I said, guaranteed, I will make it fun to bring it in, to not focus on, all of to be there to provide support and not focus on the things that we don't like about Parkinson's. And I said, done. So in 2011, I became a facilitator for the support group, kind of member to facilitator. Uh, we again had about 10 members. Bottom line is, here I am now in 2024. We have right at 1,400 members nationwide that follow us on our emails. And then we have an average attendance in our support group from 100 to 150. And primarily it's because we really do have fun. It is the camaraderie. And I will share with everyone that Parkinson's is not fun itself. Parkinson's is the pits, but we can strive to live the best life possible with Parkinson's. So through these years, I've actually developed a mantra that I follow myself for our support group, and that is to educate, 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 which is the purpose of our monthly meetings that we have. We have speakers, and our meetings are now more of a seminar type format. Well, I do announcements, we have speakers, we have sponsors that surround the room, we have refreshments. We even do an exercise class in the 2 hours that I have them. And then it's kind of a focused on education. Then we also have a caregiver support group, which again, we focus on education, which is really, really cool. And in addition to that, the next part of the mantra is exercise, exercise, exercise. We offer weekly exercise classes for our members. On Mondays, our vocal exercise, of which we've raised money and we pay for a speech therapist. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have a collaboration with another group that allows our Parkinson members to come exercise there. Wednesdays is ours again. We offer chair yoga and then Power for Parkinson's, which I believe, George, you have interviewed the Power for Parkinson's folks before. They're fabulous, and we have a great collaboration with them. But in addition to that, monthly we offer art therapy, which is fun, that we pay our art instructor for. And we also offer brain games, which is kind of a trivia type stuff once a month. So the point was his goal for me at the very beginning was to make sure we have fun. And we do. At our meetings, we do door prizes and we'll play a couple of games just to liven everybody up. And the thing out of all of that is our third part of our mantra: socialize, socialize, socialize. It's a chance to get together and to socialize and not isolate. I want to make sure folks realize that they're not alone, that we're always here. If we have a new person that comes to our meeting, we have someone there that immediately meets them, walks them all around, shows them what I call our mobile library, because every day or every meeting I set up a library of all of the Parkinson resources and brochures and so forth like that, walks them to our sponsors. And that's how I do the funding for the support group, is through our sponsorships. And they're allowed to be there, and it's just wonderful. So it's a great synergy of just people coming together to support our Parkinson community. So basically, that mantra was educate, 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 exercise, 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 and socialize, socialize, socialize.
We'll be
We
giving
did.
everyone a quiz at the end of the show. So I appreciate, and I do appreciate you. Like I said, we do this just for awareness. I don't want anything in return but awareness. Until we find a cure, we do need programs like yours, which the last few shows, oddly enough, I didn't plan on it, but we're focusing on to help people who are still battling, not just kind of, leaving them on the side until we find a cure. So whether the cure is tomorrow, a year or two, we can still help support those people still going through the diagnosis. So I think what you're doing is incredible. I also want to send love and support to your husband and the whole family and the foundation and everyone in your team, because it means the world. And I just started saying a little quote before we really get into this. And this one kind of, I feel like we planned it, but we didn't. But it's incredible to see the progress when you started till today. And this is a little quote I had saw before I heard you say that: progress, and this is from Gibran. I'll probably mess that one up, but progress lies not in enhancing what is, but in advancing toward what will be. So I just think it's perfect for what you had described. And again, not just excited to have you here, but we had the drum roll, we would do it now because I'd like to take everybody on a little tour together. So hold your hands and hold on to your seats, and we're going to do this. So this young lady you might recognize, I wanted to thank you almost a year ago for your interview. So if everyone goes to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews, completely free. That we don't want anything but to let you know that there are incredible people like Mary Jane out there who are really just waiting to help support you and her beautiful husband right here. You can read a lot more about the organization, her work, and a lot more about the goals and the background. But now, the most important thing today, besides your friendship, is please go to gapstx.org. And here's the website. Maybe you kind of already touched on a lot, but maybe you could take us a little bit more through. And I do recommend everyone to subscribe. I did. It only takes 3 seconds or even less, maybe 1 second. Click here and subscribe, and that's it. You'll be up to date 24/7. So I really encourage everyone to support Mary Jane and the Georgetown area Parkinson support group. But again, I know you touched on some incredible events. Maybe you can walk us through a little bit of a virtual tour of the website.
Well, if you'd like to click on right there for a newsletter, if you go back up to newsletter at the top tab, there you go, and then come over there, read the latest newsletter. Perfect. What this one is just an example of ours, and of course, one of the things we do, we live in a Georgetown, Texas is about 30 miles north of Austin, and we're in a large retirement community. So, of course, we honor our veterans. We even have a page on our website for veterans because we have a lot of our veterans that are members, to be honest with you. And right there it is. You're absolutely right. We talk about Agent Orange, and then we work closely with or the VA system. So when I have a veteran that has more questions that perhaps this website does not answer, then we definitely will share that. And a lot of it is just awareness also to be sure to share. The other thing that we do is the free educational luncheons. We have educational luncheons where we've partnered up with some of our pharmaceutical reps. So, yeah, that one is already expired.
Don't we don't
But
plan ahead on purpose. That's what happens when
yeah, no.
you
But anyway, it went on. That's when we had Boston Scientific for this last one. And then the one directly below it, Dr. Michael Swallow spoke, and he spoke for the amnio folks. And so this is our luncheon. So again, part of the socialization is to, and the education is to get together for lunches. So we do that once a month. And then coming on down, this is an example of our support group meeting. We had Dr. Swallow that was speaker. And if you'll notice, even it's kind of hard, I know, to see right here, but his children and his family came. And that is the one thing that we also tell all of our members that you can bring your families. It's fun. And we have grandchildren that come because we have cookies and we do a lot of stuff and they love to get into exercise. We did our very first fundraiser. Normally, I don't do a fundraiser because I really wasn't a fundraiser person, but we decided to do a fundraiser. We met at Fish City Grill. Again, it was fun because we did trivia games. It was just, one of those things that people got a nice meal, they got to play games, and it was just fun. And now, what we're fixing to have, speaking of fun, is our holiday luncheon. This is going to be our holiday luncheon and a volunteer appreciation. It's going to be Thursday, December the 5th. We're going to open the doors at 2:30. We'll have our meal at 3 o'clock. But I even have a local store, Dillard's. Well, that's national. They're going to be coming. We're going to be doing a silent auction. We'll have some more raffles and trivia games, and we're going to have exercise. We're going to be singing. There's just a lot of stuff. I've got barbecue sandwiches for everyone. So I'm planning on about 150. So it's good. And then you get into I will actually share, one of the things I do say, and I share among support group leaders, is we're all on the same team. We're all on the same team to serve our Parkinson population and to bring awareness to Parkinson's. So I even advertise about local support groups, as well as in all my exercise classes. And then there's my mantra that I just shared. This is something that I write. I prepare this entire newsletter, but I do send it to a dear friend who formats it for me. And that makes it easier. When you come to the section of articles that you can relate to, I call it the Reader's Digest version because I sign up for all of these foundations and go through them in order to provide some of the information that's going on. Always the very latest. It's never repeated. And this is just things like the World Parkinson Congress coming up. Here's the role of genetics, social prescribing, just different things. And so as you go through it, some people, my members will say, Mary Jane, your newsletter is so long. But then they say, don't, whatever you do, don't stop it because it might take me several days to get through it all, but I love it all because they're all links to go back to the article for the full
Yeah,
details.
Julie's a friend of mine. She's coming on the show, and the doctor here, she's been on the show. So it's beautiful that we are also such a family in this.
We really are. It's good. Oh, if you get a chance to get Dr. Swallow, you'll really enjoy him. He's great. Another one I'd recommend is this gentleman right here, Stephen Darrow. He basically has developed a nonprofit and it's called Loud and Clear. And it's again for speech therapy, but it's going to be handheld on a phone.
Nice.
And then he has classes every Friday, totally free. Have you had Dr. De Leon? She's another awesome one. She's in that picture right there in the Brian
Oh
Grant.
yeah, he's coming on the
Oh,
show. Yeah.
yes, I thought so. She's great, just great. Another group that we also support with PD Wise. I think you've had Alan Coe, haven't you? If you haven't, you would love him. He's come up with basically just short stories on Parkinson's related to people. The Quiver is Chris Lyon. He does artwork and not only artwork, but poetry and so forth. Just fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And then, of course, we have some of our local folks. This was the advertisement for the All In. It was great. I was just there last weekend. A great time to meet with people again that you've also interviewed. You've interviewed Bernard and Denise Cooley, Larry Grifford, Robert Conrad. So all of the same folks. So we're running in the same circle, George, that's for sure. But I do have a little section there for the caregivers that I always provide information for them, and then Parkinson research. So our newsletter, again, is averaging between 8 to 10 pages long. And again, you might say, that's so long. But you got a whole month before I come out with the next one.
Well, I know it's not easy to do that, and the community, I guarantee, really appreciates all the work you do. I have a little newsletter. It's not as beautiful as that, but we just try our best to kind of talk about incredible organizations like yours, and you've been in mine many times, and we've shared the interview that you've done too around the world. And it's also beautiful how you include everyone, and it's really just about a family. And I think having individuals like you in charge of this is just inspiring. I also want to encourage everyone to please go to the Georgetown or the GAPS Facebook. I've already liked it for many years now. Please like all their posts like we do. I like doing it live just to see how easy it is. And then there's a lot of important information in the community. And also, most important, which I actually spent a few little time subscribed today, and I want to really out there. I want everyone. I want this to say. I always say to all my guests, till this subscriber that says 1 million, I won't rest, and I swear by that. You can, if you don't know me by now, everyone listening, just follow me, and you'll know there are many nights I don't sleep because I didn't have these resources or Mary Jean. Unfortunately, in my life, when I was caregiver for my mother, or my mother battled Parkinson's for 15 years, and we didn't even know what it was. I honestly, she didn't tell me for several years, and I thought I heard the word Parkinson. I didn't know it was even a disease. And if I had known today, I don't think I would be able to change the outcome. But I feel that imagine a phone call with you on a FaceTime, which we didn't have back then. She would have been laughing and smiling, and we probably would have all been crying together. But it would have been a beautiful, touching moment. So, and also just so you know what you already do, we have been sharing your work. This is back in 7/8/2024, but we've been sharing it for a long time on Threads and everywhere else. So like I always say, I feel, and I think you would agree, and you mentioned earlier, that we have to be a family in this fight, not just for a cure, but also for support and all these incredible programs. So I wanted to, again, thank you for that. But the most important thing today is please, again, everyone to subscribe and also support GAPS, whether you're in Texas or not. It's really worldwide. You can virtually go in. Maybe you could touch a minute before we shift to a little bit more about you, about what you told me before, how you had a beautiful event right before we spoke or call. I love everyone to know about those types of things too.
One of the events that we just did that prior to COVID, I had started support group for young onset and also for newly diagnosed. And just to be able to provide a support for them because they'll come to my meetings. And even though now I have a liaison that meets up with our newly diagnosed or new persons to come to our meetings, if you're newly diagnosed, a lot of times you're scared. You're just like, oh, a little overwhelmed and not knowing what to expect. So unfortunately, when COVID hit, those two groups kind of dropped off big time. But I just now got together this fall and created a Parkinson 101. And that was a kind of an all day event. It started at, the doors opened at 8:30. It started at 9 o'clock and it went to 2 o'clock. It was just every minute was totally taken, but yet the breaks had exercise segments in between each speaker. And we had a physician that actually, movement disorder physician, spoke. So it was wonderful. We had 91 attending, and I just got a lot of good feedback. But more so was just kind of like what you said yourself, George. They didn't realize what all was going on. I mean, what I've learned, and of course, having been support group leader and now executive director for GAPS for well, gosh, over 13 years. The point I'm going to make is a lot of times doctors have limited time, and someone will get a diagnosis, and then they'll get their pills, and then they've said, "Well, I'll see you in 6 months." And I cannot tell you how many times the support group is really good, and I'm so glad we have 10 movement disorder specialists in our area, and I'm really, really glad that they will go on and provide information to connect with me, and I will share with them our hope. I will share with them that we understand, especially right there when it's like some people are asking and want to know why me. I have men and women that both are just in tears, not knowing what to expect with this diagnosis. And one of the first things is I like to share with them is you're not alone. You're not alone. And our goal is to help you to live the best possible life with Parkinson's. The other thing I do, because again, just like what you said, George, we're all a family, not only the person with Parkinson's, but their caregivers who could be their spouses, their family, their friends. Do you know, we've even had friends that when he went in to get his hearing aid, a friend of ours, he asked for a special to make sure he had a really good one so he could hear my husband because he spoke so soft. So it impacted our friends and even made a decision on what kind of hearing aid they wanted to get. So the point I'm making is we're all part of a team, and that's what I try to share when through our website and through our vision as well as our values, and to never give up hope. I'm, on the back of our shirt, we actually have we're incurably optimistic, and I will say that was borrowed from Michael J. Fox. That's his first book was called that. And we are. I'm incurably optimistic that one day we will find a cure. And it is amazing in my tenure how far along we have come with different medications and improvement. But exercise is so important to slow the progression. So the point I'm going to make is it is to bring awareness to those that are newly diagnosed and to share with them that they're not alone and we're here to help them.
Yeah, and I love that you also obviously include the caregivers, even that during the little teeny breaks at your events, exercise. I know I need that, so it's great, and it's like fun because you could all do it together, and I think that's again one of the keys. So I want to thank you again for that, and I'm so excited to follow your journey and support you throughout the next many years to come, unless we find a cure, and then we'll have a show and just laugh together for anyway, even without. But maybe we could start off a little. Sure, please.
I just want to say I got to compliment you, y'all. For y'all that are watching this is just amazing what he has done. One man, and this is where so many times you hear, "Oh, who am I? I can't make a difference." George has made the difference. This is amazing. The awareness and the bringing together of people, and the wealth of information that you are sharing through your podcast, through your books, and just your communication, your Facebook, everything. It's just I I would like to compliment and congratulate you for thank you so much for all that you do.
I appreciate it. Obviously, there's tough days for me. The holidays are coming and it's not easy. But the second I kind of go back on social media or even just think of our show today or the interview you do with me, And that's what inspires me to keep doing this. So obviously, and sadly, we can't bring my mother back, but we can help her memory to be alive. I didn't want her to be forgotten because of a disease like Parkinson's. And I, again, just don't want anyone to feel alone like I did as caregiver or she did. You know, I was shocked to realize just a few months ago, I've said on the show, I don't want to sound like a record, but she didn't even meet a person who had Parkinson's in her whole lifetime. So I think that's a disservice, number one, from me because I didn't know, I wasn't aware. Number two, from our family, but really importantly, the community. I don't think they might have had a few things, but it wasn't enough to find us. And that's why I do this because I want everyone out there in Texas to find you and again around the world, not just the US. There's people who
Well,
I now
thank you.
call family, you know, out of the US too, that we love and we support. And now I wanted to kind of go a little bit, some more fun, even though we've already had some fun. And can you list three words that describe who you are?
3 words.
We
All
would
right.
play, we would play the Jeopardy theme song, but I don't have the money for the back,
All
the
right.
copyright.
Okay. The 3 words I would say is energetic. I am energetic, enthusiastic, and my last word is I'm a believer. And I'm a believer because everything I do, I don't do it for anything for me, similar to what you said, but I feel I'm serving Him. And by serving Him, I can serve others because I feel our purpose here on life is to share and to serve. So I would say those 3 words: energetic, enthusiastic, and a believer.
No, I think it's beautiful, and I don't want to get out of the topic of Parkinson, but a lot of my research as a police officer, lawyer, and a PhD in criminal justice was aiding individuals who lost their loved ones due to crime, specifically murder. And as you know, even with Parkinson's or any disease, sometimes it's tough to really reintegrate back into society or community. And I believe that with individuals like you and through faith, support and community, that's how individuals can keep fighting and can keep going on. So I just again wanted to thank you for all that and to for making me smile a little today. So now we get to the tougher topics. So we just had a fun one. But I always, you know, you are the face of the organization and a beautiful person, but this is not always easy. There's times of struggle. Obviously, your husband has been diagnosed, and there are tough days. I was wondering who helps you during, you know, the struggle or tougher times, because we wanted to take a moment on the show to thank the people in your life who support you and your community, because I think that it would be tougher for you to do this without that support. So maybe you could share a little bit, you know, who's there to help you also.
I am very, very fortunate and blessed. First, our son and daughter-in-law live close by. So if there's something major that I have to do, oftentimes they'll come and stay with Dave and I'll have everything all ready. But on the other side, I've got two incredible, well, I've got multiple girlfriends and two of them that come over quite often and it will help me with Dave, not with care, but more so just talking or companionship, like when he's watching television. I have Sally Graham, and I have Susan Gates, and I have Chris Home, and they're just all wonderful folks. But I was in a bind myself, though, just last week. I was preparing to go to this conference, and I was leaving on Tuesday. In fact, I was going to be carpooling and picking up the people they were riding with me, three other ladies, getting everything together. I had two breakout sessions for that conference, and then plus we were hosting a reception. So I was just frantic getting everything together, and my son and daughter-in-law were not able to, they came down sick. And so on Monday afternoon, they said, sorry, can't be there on Tuesday morning for you. And I was, and my husband now, again, with over 20 plus years of Parkinson's, is pretty much in the wheelchair and needs assistance with ADLs, although his mind is fine. He just needs some assistance and help. And I don't want to leave him overnight. And because occasionally we have fallen. And I will say your fire department is wonderful. Feel free to call them for lift assist. And that's all you got to say on 911. I need a lift assist. Your fire department will be there to help out. We've had to utilize that. But I was like, what am I going to do? I had signed up for a home care and was really hoping to use that one day, but it forced the whole thing. So I called him up. And again, I knew the person who was the director. It was Visiting Angels, but I knew that person. Called her up and said, I need help. And so she says, what hours you want? And I want you to know within 3 hours, she had someone there. And that is the one thing, if I could share to caregivers. So many times, caregivers, because I also lead the caregiver support group, but so many times caregivers really feel like I've got to do it all myself. This is what I've got to do. No, nobody else can take care of my husband like I can, or and somewhat they either feel guilty or they feel like that they're the best one for it. And often we are. However, we need help. Just what you said, George, exactly. And it was such a blessing to have an outside agency come in. And I was frantically trying to wash dishes and even do other stuff. And the lady said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'll take care of your husband and I'll take care of the dishes. You go get yourself ready to go." And it was just like, wow. It gave me permission to relax and not worry. And so you are 100% right. As a caregiver, and I'm 24/7 caregiver here at the house, occasionally I need help. Friends, family, and even outside home care facilities is just what we need. And so I would like to encourage all caregivers to utilize these services.
Well, I wanted to thank you and send love to support to all those you mentioned and your husband again. It's very important to have that support too for you. And I don't think a lot of time we don't have the time to thank the people behind the scenes. So that's why I try to do that every show. Also, you brought up such an important point that we could talk hours about fire. I went to the volunteer academy and found out during a brush fire I was allergic to smoke. Ended up in the emergency room. This is when I was in much younger, and I ended up becoming a cop because of that. And but I always loved, my community firefighters. But I would recommend also everyone look into that. I might actually have to write a blog about fire. I have a book coming out next year about changing the world of policing in the United States. And to bring awareness to police. So that's going to be, I think, groundbreaking, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. But a lot of people don't think of, we have so much going on, and sometimes it's kind of a little like chaos because you're kind of
Yeah.
imagine throwing papers everywhere trying to find help. And I don't think people think about the fire department really at all. So that's something we need to also touch on, but I appreciate that. Here's an important question. Who is your hero and inspiration?
Well, I know a lot of times, in fact, I was even cautious at one point when I was a support group leader that you don't bring religion into it. But in all sincerity, who is my hero? I am such a strong believer. My hero is Jesus, because when I am having any sort of things going on, I just take it in prayer. And that is really what has carried me. So that is my hero. And just to get back into it and to read. And you're right, I've actually talked to other people who are, atheists, and they just like, I can't believe how you say this, Mary Jane. But yet when they will say that to me, they'll come back and they say, but I see how you get out of it and you inspire me. So perhaps I guess you're getting it from him. And so they'll actually acknowledge it. And that's happened several times. But in all sincerity, that's my hero, is
Well, we
Jesus Christ.
we welcome everyone, and we respect everybody on this
That's
show.
right.
I appreciate that. There's another organization who actually in their mission, I won't say name, but they do have faith in their actual mission for Parkinson's, which I thought was beautiful too. But again, we thank everyone that you inspires you too to be able to be on this world and do what you do. So thank you for sharing that. This is a fun one. I always say that because I think maybe I'm wrong. Please, everyone listening, write in if you don't think it's fun. But if you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actress would play your role?
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
So you
That would
don't.
be it. That would be exciting. Um, I would say, in all sincerity, the Energizer Bunny, because
That's
that's what people have called me before, the Energizer Bunny, and they don't understand how I could do it. And so the person that would probably play me, golly gee, Jennifer Aniston, because she seems like she's also a very energetic, vivacious person.
it's
And so
funny.
that
That's funny you brought up the Energizer Bunny because many times in my like when I'm doing social media, unfortunately after surgeries and this and that, I get right out second anesthesia, wake up, I have my phone, I start advocating for Parkinson's cure because of individuals like you. But I always joke and say I feel like the like because I'm kind of laying there falling down, and then I feel like something just goes through me, your body, like spiritually almost. And now I'm the bunny, energizer bunny, keep going and going. You can't, Parkinson's disease, unfortunately, doesn't discriminate. It doesn't take a break. So I always say, why should I, even though I don't think I'm following the creed and what everyone recommends for a caregiver or an advocate, which is take care of yourself first. So please follow us on this journey for awareness, but do not follow my lack of sleep or things like that. Because if you happen to not sleep, everyone out there listening knows you might be able to reach out and talk to me live anytime during the night all year long. So anyway, but I appreciate that. And then on the final question, but before we get to that, please everyone again go to gapstx.org. Please support Mary Jane. So much incredible work happening in the past, present, and the future. I'm excited because as Mr. Sinatra says, the best is yet to come. And I know that having individuals like Mary Jane fighting and offering such incredible programs for everyone out there is just a beautiful thing. And I know I'll be following along, so please do also. But as we wrap up, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, even though you have already, what would those words be?
In all sincerity, our acronym that I created, we're Georgetown. So it's Georgetown Area Parkinson Support, so GAPS. And we are here, a support group is here to fill the gaps on their journey with Parkinson's. And as we feel that, one of the things I always try to share is hope. We can never give up hope. And I really, really want to share it. One thing, and I think you know this already, George, and I'll share with everyone. I've been leading this group for 13 years. And yes, my husband is needing a little bit more care and time. I will be stepping down as the executive director. However, I will still be staying very active within the Parkinson support group and will still be behind the new executive director to help him. His name is James Lavender in any way that I can. But the closing and final words would be to never give up hope and to always keep in mind Parkinson education, Parkinson exercise, and socialize with your Parkinson's. Don't let it isolate you and don't feel like you're alone. There are many other people on this same journey with you, family, friends, caregivers, medical support, and a whole group of people that are wanting to help. And so never give up.
I really appreciate your time. And I always say this is not the end, as you mentioned, but I think it's just the beginning because I think that not only will I keep sharing this, but everyone out there listening, please share this, monthly, yearly. This conversation really doesn't end when the lights and the cameras end because until we find a cure, we have to continue to fight together. We have to be a family in this, in my
Right.
belief, and really just keep pushing forward. But you can't look back. Of course, I miss my mother literally 24/7, but I feel again she lives on through all of you. And there's been tough times, and I reach out and call or email or even we speak, and really does help change my life. So I'm grateful forever for that. So thank you again, Mary Jane. Thank you also, everyone. I have a little message for you and audience today. We always end our show. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Mary Jane and the entire GAPS support group, will advocate for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started, and usually after I say that, I say how I'm the bunny energizer because I really not just started, but every day I want to give up if I do, or just the other day I went on the 5K here in South Florida, and I barely made it, but the first mile was something, and then my back hurt, my legs started hurting, everything. Still have to have ankle surgery again, and shoulder was in an actual thing. The guy doing the loudspeaker was like, "Look at this gentleman, he's not giving up." But every time I wanted to stop, I kind of hip. It was called the turkey trot. I really trotted at the end, and I just kept thinking, my mother kept fighting, and everybody out there kept fighting, and although this wasn't a Parkinson's event, everything I do is in my blood for Parkinson's awareness. And, I don't really even, my wife will laugh, I don't leave without this on me. And it just means the world to be able to speak to you today and to know that you're out there also fighting. So everyone, please again, follow Mary Jean, no matter if she's still there or not, she knows I'll be reaching out. And please, everyone in Texas, join. There's no fee. I mean, the stuff we all do, I don't want money in return for the show. just want you to know you're never alone. This is a thing that just, it's rare, but it's special and it's a beautiful thing. It's become a movement, and it's just, we thought we'd have two people look at my website, which would be fine because it was just a memory of my mother, which was all I wanted. And we've had over 40,000 people visit. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
Very good.
hopefully it's not, because Parkinson's is kind of second or first, leading growing neurodegenerative disease in the world. But I hope to think that it's really because everyone in this is together. So thank you again, Mary Jane. Thank you everyone for listening. There's been another episode of Q&A with Sharon and George. Please stay tuned. We have so much more to come. And until the cure is at everyone's doorsteps around the world, Mary Jane and I will be fighting right by your side. Thank you all, and we love you. Thanks.